Gun Gang, welcome back. This is KCMOGUNZ, and we lit and equipped with the best modified shit that you should probably go get. Today we're going to talk about my new build, the Bear Killer. AKA the Glock 20 SF, short frame for those who don't know. Go ahead and drop a like and subscribe to this video if you ain't Gun Gang yet, because once you see this glizzy, you definitely gonna hit that button anyway. This one right here might get that Glock 23 build that I did a run for his money, but I'm gonna let you be the judge of that. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and get right into it. Let's move. Today we're gonna go over a short story of how I purchased the Glock 20 and how it came in my possession. We're gonna do some dimensions and specs. We're going to go over accessories and costs. We're going to do a trigger pull. We're going to talk about some issues that I had with the Glock 20 straight out of the box and some issues that I had with the Glock 20 after I got done doing all the build work. Then we're going to go over some range footage, and you already know after the range footage, we out. So let's move. How did I come across the Glock 20 and end up purchasing and added to the KCMOGUNZ armory? Quick short story on that. I was applying for my concealed carry here in California, and I couldn't have a concealed carry under my name unless I had purchased a weapon here in the state of California. My first thought was to purchase the Glock 19, but I immediately realized that I had a Glock 23, which is the same dimensions as a Glock 19, so I felt like it was no purpose of me purchasing 19. Even though it's one of the most popular weapons in America, I didn't want to do it because I had that 23. So immediately my next thought was Glock 17. Why not? You know what I'm saying? It's a little bit bigger for my hands because, like I said in my Glock 23 video, my hands eat this one up because it's so small. That Glock 17 gives me a longer slide and longer grip, which is better for my large size hands. I looked all over California for a Glock 17 that was priced reasonably, but for some reason, every one that I came across was $800 to $1,000, and I was not about to pay that amount for a Glock 17. I just wasn't going to do it. So I was applying for my CCW, and I had a qual day rapidly approaching, so I needed to get this pistol quick, and I needed to take into account the 10-day wait time that California has in place. Finally, I walked into a local shop and I saw the Glock 20 sitting there on the shelf. I looked at it, I did some debating, and crunch for time, I just purchased the Glock 20 without doing no research on it, without firing it at all, without knowing anything really about the 10mm round. Once I made the purchase and I finally shot it, I fell in love with it. It fit perfect in my hand. I feel like it was built just for me. That's something that I talked about in the very first video that I ever published on this channel. Go check that out if you ain't seen it. It's called Welcome to KCMOGUNZ. But the thickness of the Glock 20, the slide length, the grip of it just fits perfect for these Kawhi Leonard hands. So I made that purchase. One of the very first pistols that I ever purchased was a 40 caliber round. It was the SD40 VE. And then next I purchased the Glock 23 Gen 4, and it was also a 40 round. So I got really accustomed to shooting that 40 caliber round. Once I got that 10mm round and I took that very first shot, I fell in love. I realized that the 10mm round was like the Pookie of the 40 caliber round. If you don't know who Pookie is, it's going to be okay. It has no benefit on your life at all, but you should probably know who Pookie is. The 10mm round is a bigger, more powerful and faster round. The recoil for me was really easy to manage, so I shoot like Steph with it when it's crunch time.
Here's Curry for the record. Curry way downtown. Bang! From half court. It's gone! On him. Got by Rivers. Good if it goes. It's Curry from half court. He hit it! Curry from half court. He nailed it.
Let's move. Here on the screen, I got some dimensions and specs straight from the Glock sight of the Glock 20 SF, so you can see what we're talking about. I figure it's better to do this than just have you look at my face and see me just read off exactly what you see right here on the screen. So I'm gonna let you go ahead and look at that yourself. No elevator music, just go ahead and check it out. I'll go ahead and let you look at this bad boy in my hands and lust on it, just like I know you're gonna lust on it.
Okay.
Look at that.
Hey, look, back.
God sent that.
No.
Just come on, Gun Gang. Go ahead and drop down in the comments right now and tell me this ain't dope. I dare you. I probably ain't gonna see none of that. And if it is, then you just hating. That's all it is. Nobody should look at this and tell me that they don't love it unless you just hit cock 45 and you just like gun stock with just Talon grips on it. And if that's you, then that's cool. But even if that's you, you know that this thing is sexy. Everything, and it's got some weight on it too. This is a big boy pistol.
Well, you ain't doing nothing, boy.
If you ain't 6 foot and up, you can't walk around with this. Don't play. Let's move. Okay, Gun Gang. Now we're gonna go over some accessories and costs of the Glock 20 SF right here. And we're gonna go through everything that I got done to it, places that I sent it off to, prices that I paid, all of that good stuff. So let's get into it. First things first, let's take a look at the stippling that I got done. Now, this guy right here that I sent this frame off to get the stippling done will not disappoint. If you're not following this guy on IG and you a gun enthusiast, then you are really, really slacking. Trust me. This stipple job comes straight from Frank Castle Customs. You can find them on IG. You can find them on YouTube. I chose the basket weave around the grip. I got the accelerator cuts put in there, which helps with managing recoil. And the cherry on top that makes everything pop is the channel borders around the stippling work. When it was all said and done, this work cost me about $247. It's a great package. Like I always say, I don't regret it. It was money well spent. It really locked shell grip in. He did the undercut for me. It's beautiful. Highly suggested. Go check out Frank Castle Customs. This magazine release, got it off eBay from a company called Go-To Sports Gear. It ran me about $26.95. The only thing I don't like about this is how much it sticks out. I haven't run into any huge issues with that at the moment yet, but I really don't like how much it pokes out of the weapon. So far, it hasn't hindered me from doing anything. I haven't accidentally dropped the mag or nothing like that. It just pokes out more than I would like it to. It's got some good texture cut into it so you can feel it, and it's poking out so much that you're gonna feel it regardless. But that's the only con I got with that magazine release. But I installed it. It works great, and I ain't gonna hate. Next, let's go ahead and take a look at the slide release pins, takedown lever, and extractor. Got them all off of eBay as a package for $59.95. The pins here, that takedown lever, the slide release right here, and the extractor. All burnt bronze. That was the color scheme that I kind of was looking at and I fell in love with. So that's what I went with. It's a good deal. Those are fairly easy to install. I didn't have no issues doing it. It pops just like I like it to. Kind of looks like gold, but it's not. It doesn't scream like the gold on my Glock 23. It's more subtle with that burnt bronze. Gorgeous. The extractor didn't come in a package. I got that separately for $35.95, also on eBay. Let's talk about this barrel next. Just like the barrel that I got done for my XDM and the XD. And if you ain't seen those videos, I'll put the link in the description so you can go check those out because you need to see it. But I got this done at Twisted Barrel, and of course, they do not disappoint. They did beautiful work. What does this do for you? It just make your weapon look even more sexier than it was when you got it out of the box. That's it. That's all it does for me. This work I got done from Twisted Barrel just for the flutes was $90. All right, next, we're going to talk about the slide cover plate. I purchased this slide cover plate in black from Tyrant CNC, and it ran me about $19.95. It is serrated. Beautiful. These magazine extensions, I got them from SLR Rifle Works. The two of these together cost me $89.98. Look at the work on those things. These also was purchased in black. Sexy. The barrel, slide cover plates, and the magazine extensions were all sent off to R&B Arms for Cerakote, and I chose to get Sniper Gray. The barrel, I got coated in burnt bronze to match the pins in the extractor and slide release. And of course, I got that slide cover plate, Cerakoted in burnt bronze to match all the other accessories. The slide cover plate ran me $5 just to get it Cerakoted. The mag extensions cost me $40 to get them Cerakoted. And the barrel ran me $60 to get it Cerakoted, leaving the flutes that stainless steel color once they did their work on it. All right, so the slide work, which is the portion of this pistol that I got done that really makes it as beautiful as it is, I got it done at Boogeyman Customs. So I went straight to the website and I opted for the El Kukai cut, which is originally for Glock 34. I talked to some people at the company and they decided to work with me and put this design on the G20. As you can see, I got the logo right here, put on the side of the slide. You got the name of the cut. With this cut comes 2 side windows, a top window, these beautiful front serrations, and a nice little bordering around the front sight. Look, Boogeyman Customs was not slacking with this design. I'm definitely going to keep them in mind and reach out to them to modify some of my future firearms. Getting back into this slide, you can see at the rear, you got the serrations that come standard with the Glock 20. This Boogeyman Customs job ran me about $270, and with the whole package comes the optic cut for an RMR. And we'll get into the optic here in a minute. If you a gun enthusiast, you know that an RMR cut facilitates multiple different types of red dots. Let's go ahead and get into the red dot. This bad boy here is a 3-tactic PRD2 made by Written. It has 40,000 hours of battery life. It's 100% waterproof, fog-proof, and shock-proof. It weighs about 0.9 ounces. It's also a shake awake, auto brightness, and auto off. I purchased this thing off of Big Daddy Unlimited for $230. It's a pretty good dot. I think the best thing about this thing is that I don't have to hit no button. It doesn't need light to turn on. As soon as I pick this thing up and there's any kind of movement, it turns on and I'm ready to go to work. While we're on the topic of the red dot, I want to mention something about this whole setup. Now that it's fully modified, I've noticed the difference of how this Glock 20 shoots. Once I fire the weapon and the slide reciprocates, I can feel the mass of the red dot. Again, this thing is only 0.9 ounces. So you would think that you wouldn't feel the difference. I don't have that same feeling when I shoot the Glock 23. The Viper Venom that I have on the Glock 23 is 1.1 ounces. So it's a little bit heavier than the Written 3-Tactics PRD2 that I have on the Glock 20. I feel like this is due to the energy that the 10mm round produces, which causes the slide to hit the rear harder. That's me putting it as simply as possible without using some crazy big words and throwing some of y'all off. The Glock 20 factory recoil spring is about 17 pounds. And with that being said, I need to get something that's a little more heavier to facilitate the extra weight added on by the red dot, the slide being cut and weight being removed. It just kind of throws it off. And that's just something that you got to keep in mind when you're modifying your weapons. You're going to have to take it through its paces and run it and see how it shoots with the parts that you've added. And you may need to add something that can make it run like it's intended to run out of the factory. Drop down in the comments and let me know if you think I'm on track with those thoughts on how this thing fires now that it's fully modified. I left the sights OEM on this Glock 20 because I purchased some True Gold sights for a Glock 20. And with this Written red dot, the True Gold sights that I purchased for this Glock 20 sit a little bit more forward, which would have got in the way of the red dot. So as of right now, I got the OEM sights on there. I know some people are going to smash me in the comments about having OEM sights on this heavily accessorized Glock 20, but drop in the comments and ask me if I care, because there's nothing wrong with the Glock OEM sights. Go check out that video if you ain't seen it. I will be doing some looking around for a good pair of suppressor height sights for this thing. Drop down in the comments if you got a good idea of what I can put on here that'll fit with this red dot. Let me know what I should cop. All right, so next we're going to talk about the trigger. You already know it's Apex, because you can't lose once you choose Apex. This is a action enhancement trigger for a Glock Gen 3 and Gen 4. Ran me about $85. I haven't heard nobody ever in the history of the gun community say that Apex was bad. So I know I wasn't going to go wrong with that. So it wasn't even a question. I already knew that once it was time to change that trigger out, that I was going to choose Apex. And that's exactly what I did. Now that we've went over all of the accessories and costs, let's go ahead and dig back in and look at the trigger pull. Let's move. All right, gang, now that we dug back in, we're going to take a look at the trigger pull with our little gauge here so you can see how we're rocking on that tip. Of course, the weapon is clear. No magazine in it. Catch that shoe, pull. That one is about 6.5 pounds. Let's get another good pull. Catch that trigger shoe. And we pulling. About 6.5 pounds. Let's get one more just so we can see what it really is. I think 3 is a good amount of time to do it, depending on if you get a good one or not. A little over 6. Let's get one more just to be sure, because some of those pulls might have been faulty. Caught the shoe, pulling 6.5. So it's looking like it's a good 6.5 pound pull, which I'm not gonna complain. With this being a EDC, I think 6 pounds is good enough. It feels good. It really doesn't feel like a 6.5 pound pull, but the gauge says it is. We're gonna rock with it. Let's go ahead and get you locked in on the take up, wall, break, and reset. Now again, Apex is dope. So there's my take up. Not much at all. It's right there. There's my wall. Take up, wall. Take up, wall. Break. Reset. Apex is winning, man. Just off that one, you should already know that this thing is clutch. Let's do that. Let's run that again. Take up. Take up. Take up, wall. Right there. Break. Reset. Beautiful trigger. We don't even need to beat that horse. You know what I'm saying? You already know it's Apex. If you a gun enthusiast, if you gun gang, if you rocking with 2A world, you already know that Apex is the way to go. It ain't even no reason to go any more in depth on the functionality and how great Apex is, because you already know. Let's go ahead and get back face view and talk about a few more things. Let's move. All right, gang, now that we're back face view, I just want to talk about some reassembly issues that I had when I purchased this thing straight out of the box. Before I did any kind of mods to it, I put the accessories on it, all of that stuff. With this Glock 20 SF, when I field stripped it, not a detailed field strip, but just a normal field strip, I had issues putting it back together, marrying that frame back up with that slide. The trigger bar was having some kind of issues with the safety plunger. Without breaking any of YouTube's rules on, you know, showing you how to build a weapon or anything like that, I will break this thing down and kind of show you the problems that I was having. So once I got it apart, the safety plunger right here was hitting the trigger bar posted up right here. This is the piece that actuates the actual safety plunger and makes the weapon fire, what makes the firing pin drop. It was sticking up too far, and then once I go to reassemble, it was getting hung up on it. I took it to a gunsmith before I got my certifications on being a gunsmith. Now, with me putting the slide back on there, and we all know with any Glock, once you put the slide back on there, you should be able to rack it back and it get back in the battery and it's ready to go to work. But as you can see, right now, it will not reattach properly. So I did some playing around with it. The gunsmith did some playing around with it. And we came to the conclusion that that trigger bar and that safety plunger were clashing. And they shouldn't once you're reassembling your weapon. I pushed this trigger bar right here forward. Just like that. And once I do that, I'll go ahead and marry them up. Now, it's good. I don't know what that's about. I have no clue why that's the case with this thing, but I have to push that trigger bar down and ensure that that trigger is forward, vice to the rear, to reassemble this firearm. Now, as far as it goes when it's firing, I have no issues with it. I have no issues breaking it down, but when I'm putting it back together, I do run into that, and I have to do that extra step just to get it back going. If you can tell me why that's happening, if you're more knowledgeable than I am and more knowledgeable than that gunsmith, please drop down in the comments to let me know. I've never ran into a Glock that has had that issue, but this one right here does have that issue. This one may be the one out of all of the Glock 20s that were produced in the factory. I never reached out to Glock and asked them questions, and I never sent this firearm back into the factory. It's just something that I'm able to deal with, because to me it's not that big a deal. It is weird. So that's one of the issues that I had with the Glock straight out of the box. Now I want to talk about some issues that I had with the Glock after I got everything Cerakoted and all of the mods put on there, the accessories and everything. So the issues that I had once the weapon was complete were not that big of a deal. It's just something that happens once you modify your weapons, especially when you apply Cerakote to it. Once I got the slide done at Boogeyman Customs, and I got the sniper gray Cerakote put on there, and I got the barrel done, I had it sent to R&B Arms, and I got the burnt bronze Cerakote done on the barrel. Once I got everything back and I tried to put the weapon together, I put the barrel in, then I put the slide in, it was just not fitting properly. I was like, it made me kind of nervous at first, because it just didn't marry up like the weapon did right out of the factory. And the reason for that is that thing called the Cerakote that I had applied to the barrel and the slide just made the tolerances way more tighter. Now, that Cerakote on the slide and the barrel just added a slightly more thickness to that barrel and that slide. So therefore, once you put them together, it's just a little bit more tighter. So what I did before I got any of my other parts for the weapon, the pins, the extractor, the slot release, the magazine release, and all of that stuff, just put that barrel in there before I even put any rounds through it. I just had to let it sit and become one with each other. And I would take it out every once in a while, and I would just rack it and just mess with it. It just has to go through that break-in stage. And it's just something that needs to happen once you put this type of work into a firearm. And of course, I had to make sure that that was good to go before I started to carry this thing. Now that I put multiple rounds through this thing and I've let it sit for a while with that barrel in there, it functions like it should. It sounds great. Like when I first got it all done, it was very, very tough. It didn't sound like this like it should. I just had to go through that little stage of making sure that everything was good to go before I carried this thing around to save my life. But now that it's good to go, it's good to go. All right, Gun Gang, now what you all been waiting for, let's go ahead and look at the range footage of this beautiful Glock 20 SF.
Big baby gonna shoot.
Bang, 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 bang.
Let's move.
Yeah. Let's fucking go.
Gun gang, I ain't gonna hold y'all no longer. Now that we done checked out the range footage of the beautiful bear killing Glock 20 SF that I done modified and put that KCMOGUNZ swag on it, it's just time to roll the credits, right? If you want to know exactly where I got all of these accessories and parts, just make sure you visit the website KCMOGUNZ.com. There you'll find pics of the Glock 20 SF and the build list. Make sure you follow me on IG, KCMOGUNZ, that's guns with a Z. Go ahead and subscribe to this channel, KCMOGUNZ, guns with a Z. And after you do that, I only got a few more things that I require of y'all. Treat, never keep, be great, keep it 100, watch your six, and most importantly, come be gun gang, because we moving.